Hey everybody, Roy Petitfils here with you today talking about video games. I'm often asked on Facebook, via email, and by parents in my counseling practice, are video games bad for my kids? And I think that's a great question. And the first point that I want to make is, what's prompting that question? And what's prompting that question is a parental intuition or an intuition inside of you that knows that there's something not right there. And it doesn't necessarily mean with the video game, but there's something that's not right with the amount of time, the amount of energy that we're seeing kids, especially boys, investing in video games today. And I think one of the real concerns that I have about video games is that they are seemingly highly addictive, especially to boys. They're so enticing that it becomes very difficult, near impossible, for boys and teens themselves to set healthy boundaries around them. And it becomes very difficult for parents to set healthy boundaries for their children in and around these video games because they're so enticing, they're so lifelike, they're so fast. The other concern that I have with video games is the nature of them. The nature of the video games, that some of the more popular games right now are incredibly violent. They're incredibly violent. And, Oil Roy, have you read any research that says, that violent video games are bad for boys? No, I haven't. I have not, to be perfectly honest. I've read that there are some correlation. I've read some correlational research, but none that says video games cause aggressive, violent behavior in boys. However, I don't need to read in the New England Journal of Medicine that eating kale and spinach is better for my cardiovascular health than Popeyes fried chicken. I don't need to read that. I don't need the research because there's something in me that knows. And all you parents out there who have this uneasy feeling, or whoever you are out there, have this uneasy feeling about video games, I'm hoping to give you some language around why that uneasiness is there. And it's not that the video game is bad, and I want to be clear about that. If I had hair, I would light it on fire because I'm the first person. So many people came out and said Facebook's bad. Facebook is not bad. Facebook might be bad for some people in that they can't set boundaries around them. It's not the thing. The thing is not bad. It's us. It's our inability to control the thing. It's our inability to maintain our freedom from the thing. That's when it gets disordered or sinful. So the video game isn't bad, but they're so enticing, they're so powerful, it takes an incredible amount of maturity and discipline to set healthy boundaries around it. And I'm not seeing very many 12-year-old boys who are able to do that. In fact, I'm not seeing very many 32-year-old boys who are able to do that. I know I wouldn't be able to do it, and that's why we don't have them in our house. One of the reasons that I think video games are so enticing for boys is that they promise this sense of adventure. But it's a false promise. In every boy, there's this longing for this sense of adventure. They want to explore the unknown. They want to see what they're made of. They want to get out there and, fight the demon. They want to rescue the princess. And video games promise to deliver that, but they don't. They don't really deliver it. They deliver a saccharine version of that adventure. It doesn't really satisfy the soul. And as adults, our spiritual task is to not do what we want, but to recognize and then be able to act on what we most deeply want. As parents, our task is to know what our kids most deeply want. And what our boys most deeply want is an adventure. They want an adventure with us. They want an adventure with their parents. And when we don't give that to them, they will settle for it in the forms of video games. They will settle for it in the form of substances. They will settle for it from other people. But they most deeply want an adventure with us. So, what other activities could you engage your kids in other than video games? And so if you are listening to this, you're like, okay, I got to get rid of the video games. Hold on. Before we create another problem, what are you going to replace that with? But think about it. Think long and hard before you bring them into your house, and if they're already there, think about what boundaries you want to put in place, and also think about the consequences that you want to have in place for not respecting those boundaries. I'd love to hear what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this about video games in general, especially with regards to. Thanks for watching. God bless.